History books will tell you that the country that would become Australia began when this man, 18th century gadabout James Cook, sailed the Endeavour into Botany Bay and decided it would be a great place to send people England didn't want anymore. Australia Day, January 26, marks the day that the first 800 convicts were dumped at Sydney Cove, 18 years after Cook's original visit. But on the other side of the continent, Western Australians figure the country really began with the founding of a colony that people actually came to without being forced. So they honor this man, James Stirling, the first governor of the Swan River colony, which gave rise to one of the most remote major cities in the world, Perth. The verdant coastal farmland southwest of Perth might be tempted to begin its story with another man altogether, agronomist John Gladstone's. He noted in 1961 that the region, then used mainly for grazing, both domestic and non-domestic stock, was perfectly suited to grape growing. The best of this land was on a spit that jutted out like a pig's snout from the extreme southwest corner of the country. It was named for the town at its heart. There are now wineries up and down the 90 kilometers of coastline between Cape Naturalist in the north and Cape Leeuwin in the south. Recently, two lasses from Australia took two lasses from Canada on a quest to find Margaret River's Holy Grail, which is not one cup, but many served at a succession of wine tastings. Their base was the Wyndham Resort and Spa in the north of the region, from which they went on day excursions in search of wine, mostly driving themselves, but once taking a day-long tour so no one would have to be skipper, Aussie for designated driver. Margaret River is full of small, unpretentious vineyards whose produce accounts for a hefty portion of Australia's premium wine market. Here you can buy wines unavailable outside Australia at very reasonable prices, and the tastings are free. Among the smallest wineries is Mongrel Creek, run by a husband and wife team that conducts tastings in a weathered clapboard cabin. They serve an excellent sparkling wine, created by the champagne method. Over at Swooping Magpie, named after the aggressive magpies that weren't warning signs in some places, Neil Tuffield serves up a very nice Semillon Sauvignon Blanc. The blend is a kind of Margaret River calling card, and most wineries have their own version. At Marywood Park, Lisa and Julian Wright practice and preach biodynamic viticulture and produce a wonderful Chenin Blanc, as well as some very good unprocessed wine drawn from barrels in a tin shed. Rather more upscale is the handsome Notting Hill Estate Vineyard, with its man-made lake stocked with fat perch. Brian Gould, a former wheat farmer, is the winery's easygoing founder. He pours generous tipples of a large selection of his wines, including the multiple gold medal-winning 2007 Cabernet Merlot. The quest continued at Swings and Roundabouts, a winery that emphasizes its just folks demeanor by embedding everyday Australian activities from lawn mowing to surfing and soccer in the filigree on its fancy labels. Woman does not live by wine alone, however, so there was a stop for beer and ploughman's lunch at the Bush Shack Brewery, one of several microbreweries in the Margaret River area. And there was another stop to sample olives, olive oil, and various soaps and creams and lotions at the Natural Olive Oil Soap Factory, founded by a couple concerned about their children's eczema. The oldest vineyard in Margaret River is Vase Felix, which boasts some amazing artwork and an exceptional restaurant overlooking the vines. Of course, there are things to do in Southwest Australia other than drink wine. If you're lucky, you can watch a roadside kickboxing match. Or you can visit the Bustleton Jetty, at 2 kilometers, the longest timbered pier in the southern hemisphere. There's a submerged observation deck at the deep end. Cape Leeuwin Lighthouse, built in 1895, is a dramatic backdrop for a notable geographic feature, the spot where the Indian Ocean meets the Antarctic, or Southern Ocean. When all the wine tasting becomes overwhelming, a beautiful beach is never more than a few minutes away. Or for a real treat, you can drive up to Perth for a day and try the beach and the fish and chips at Cottesloe. Make time to watch the sunset on South Beach in Fremantle, while drinking Margaret River wine, of course. It's the perfect end to a perfect holiday.